Carmichael walks away.
A perfect 24 motos.
22-0, he has done it.
2 motos, 11 weekends, 1 goal. Perfection. In motocross, it's supposed to be impossible. A million things can go wrong. A flat tire, a hidden rock, a rival's mistake that takes you out. Yet, in over 50 years of pro motocross history, the impossible has happened. Only 3 riders have ever done it, and one of them did it twice. These are the summers where every variable was controlled, every risk avoided, and every single race was won. This is what perfection really costs in motocross. 2002, and Ricky Carmichael just made the biggest gamble of his career. RC had just done something that made a lot of people scratch their heads. He left Kawasaki. Now, this wasn't just a simple team switch. He had dominated on green bikes. He was the man. But he packed his bags and signed a controversial deal with Team Honda. Why? The answer's simple. Because he wanted to win on red. But it didn't start smooth. The 2002 Supercross season kicked off and RC had a massive crash at the opener in Anaheim. He ended up upside down, dazed and confused. Jeremy McGrath, the king of Supercross, had vowed to get back in shape and take RC down. The hype for a battle of the Titans was off the charts. But that battle fizzled out fast. McGrath struggled with arm pump. Carmichael healed up, got his Honda dialed in, and went on a tear to win the Supercross title. Then came the outdoors, the 2002 Pro Motocross Championship. This is where the legend of the GOAT really started to cement itself. People knew Ricky would be fast on the Honda CR250, but nobody, and I mean nobody, expected what was about to happen. He didn't just win, he annihilated everyone. We're talking about a field stacked with talent. You had Tim Ferry, you had Ezra Lusk, Sebastian Tortelli. These weren't slow guys, and Ricky made them look like they were riding in mud while he was on pavement. His mechanic at the time, Chad Watts, was the guy responsible for keeping that bike flawless. And as the wind stacked up, so did the pressure. Because when your rider hasn't lost a single moto, the last thing you want is a mechanical failure to be the reason the streak ends. Chad Watts told stories about being on pins and needles when they rolled into the final round at Steel City. The pressure was heavy. But Ricky? He was a machine. Johnny O'Mara, a legend in his own right and RC's mentor, said he never thought undefeated was possible. He talked about Ricky's mindset. He said that Ricky took losing harder than anyone he had ever seen. There's this story about Bob Hanna. Now, Bob Hanna's a tough guy. He doesn't hand out compliments, but after Ricky won Daytona on a Kawasaki years prior, Hanna walked into Ricky's truck to shake his hand. Ricky freaked out. He told O'Mara, "Hanna came into my truck and shook my hand." Bob Hanna later said about that 2002 season, "He's totally dedicated. He's willing to give up the rest of his life to be a motocross superstar." And that's the secret sauce. It wasn't magic. It was suffering. Alden Baker was Ricky's trainer back then. He said RC trained harder than anyone, but it wasn't just physical, it was mental. Baker called Ricky's mind tough, almost like a hawk that never says die. David Bailey, another Honda legend, put it perfectly. He said Ricky wants it more than anybody else. Before bed, he thinks about it. When he wakes up, he thinks about it. So, round after round in 2002, the wins piled up. By the time they got to the finale at Steel City in Delmont, Pennsylvania, the tension was thick. But for Ricky, the riding looked easy. He crossed the finish line, winning the final moto.
What can we look forward to? I mean, we're never going to let him off the hook. Perfect season right now. Now we want to know, what do you do for an encore?
Well, I try to do the same thing, but I seriously doubt it'll ever happen again. I want to try to do the same thing in Supercross. It's a lot harder Supercross than it is outdoor, but these guys are stepping it up and they ain't making it any easier on us. But I'm going to have a good training camp this winter, and I'll be better than I was this year, and we're going to do the best we can do, and whatever happens, happens.
12 rounds, 24 motos, 24 wins. A standard no one believed could ever be repeated. RC credited the bike. He said his CR250 was excellent, really fast, and handled well. But he also admitted that his training regimen was the strongest out there. After that race, Ricky said something interesting. He said, "I doubt this would ever happen again." He was wrong. dead wrong. Fast forward 2 years, 2004. The landscape had shifted, and the sport was changing. The 4 strokes were coming in hot, but for Ricky Carmichael, the start of 2004 was a nightmare. He tore his ACL. The knee injury happened back in late 2003. He was at Castillo Ranch testing the new Honda CRF 454 stroke. He was warming up, squeezed the gas tank, and pop. His knee slipped out of place. The pain was excruciating. He couldn't even step off the bike. He had to tell the team. Now Honda had big plans. He was the defending champion. Telling them he was out for the 2004 Supercross season, that crushed him. He said the silence in the room was like crickets. He went under the knife in December 2003. He didn't touch a motorcycle until April 1st, 2004. That's an insane timeline when you think about it. I mean, he had less than 2 months to get ready for the grueling outdoor nationals. He was scared. Not about his speed, but about his knee. He was terrified the repair wouldn't hold. When he showed up at round 1 in Hangtown, the chatter was loud. Could he win? Was he washed up? Chad Reed had just won the Supercross title. Kevin Winham was riding amazing. Ricky felt disrespected. He showed up with a chip on his shoulder the size of a boulder. He told his mechanic, Mike Gosseler, everyone calls him Goose, to take the transponder off his bike during practice. He didn't want anyone seeing his lap times. He wanted him guessing. And on the back of his riding pants, he had the word Seabiscuit printed on the butt patch. Seabiscuit, the little horse that was broken and beat up but came back to win. It was a message, a slap in the face to everyone who wrote him off. The first moto at Hangtown was brutal. David Villeman was all over him. Ricky said he was uncomfortable, riding on the edge, pumped up. He almost surrendered, but he didn't break. Villeman faded. Ricky won. Then he won the second moto, 1-1. The statement was made.
And our congratulations to RC Ricky Carmichael on his victory. So on behalf of Camera Steel, I'm Todd Harris saying so long from Hangtown. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
The 2004 wasn't a cakewalk. It looks perfect on paper, but behind the scenes, it was chaos. Now let's talk about Southwick, the sandbox. Ricky dominated the race. He won by massive margins, 28 seconds in the first moto, 33 seconds in the second. He lapped up to 6th place. But after the race, disaster. Goose grabbed the bike to ride it back to the pits. He's cruising up the access road and the engine starts making horrible noises. Clank, bang. The crank locked up. The engine seized right there on the access road. If that had happened 1 lap earlier, the perfect season's over. The bike quit literally seconds after the checkered flag. Goose laughed about it later, saying Ricky was a knucklehead for riding it wide open for 40 minutes. He cooked the thing. Then there was Unadilla. Ricky hated Unadilla. He called it technique practice. It had rained heavily, so the track was a muddy, rutted mess. He was in the second moto. He was charging. He hit a rut at the base of a high-speed uphill. His foot got caught and it yanked his leg so violently he thought it ripped him off the bike. He saved it, but he was in pain.
I can't believe you did it. I think you actually outran the rain.
I don't think I outran it, It's going to be wet. It started to get slick. I think about halfway it started sprinkling a little bit, so it slowed it down a bit. And dude, I almost crashed so hard in the back section. My foot came off. I was sideways, and I tried to take a different line because there was a lapper in the way. And man, I came out there and I went through a deep rut and just caught my leg. But it's a little sore, but not too bad.
He carried that pain to the next round at Kenworthy's Motocross Park in Ohio. And here's where the perfect season almost died in the pits. Between motos, Goose did his normal routine. Wash the bike, change the oil, check the bolts. He goes to start the bike for the second moto. The Kickstarter's stiff, won't move right. Goose panics. He sends Ricky to the starting line without a bike. Can you imagine? The gate is about to drop and the undefeated leader is standing there with no motorcycle. The decompression system had failed. It's a little mechanism that releases pressure so you can kickstart the high compression 450 engine. He runs the bike to the line, hands it to Ricky. Doesn't say a word about the broken parts. Just prays Ricky doesn't stall it. Because if he stalls it, he probably won't be able to kickstart it again. And Ricky didn't stall. He led every lap. He won by 17 seconds. Goose tore the inside of the engine down later and found pieces of a spring stuck to a magnet inside. Bullet dodged. Then came Washougal. This place had demons for Ricky. He'd lost there before, and Chad Reed was feeling feisty. In the first moto, they were battling. Ricky slammed into Reed in a dark corner in the trees. Reed came right back at him. They were drag racing through rollers. Ricky shaved the edge of the track so close his foot peg ripped the cover off a hay bale. Ricky kept the throttle pinned. He shut the door on Reed and pulled away. Moto 2, he won by 40 seconds. But the craziest moment of 2004 happened at the final round, Glen Helen. Ricky had already wrapped up the championship. He didn't need to race. He'd already signed a contract to switch to Suzuki for 2005. He had a test session with Suzuki scheduled for 8 days later. So why risk it? Because he's Ricky Carmichael. In practice that morning, disaster struck. Ricky launched over a blind jump. Kevin Winham had crashed on the landing. Ricky landed directly on top of Winham's bike, metal on metal. The impact was violent. Ricky got ejected, ragdolled down the track. His ankle was blown up, swollen, bruised. Nasty. And his bike? Destroyed. The frame was twisted and smashed. Goose looked at the frame and grimaced. He had to swap everything to a spare frame. But the spare frame they had in the truck was dirty. It was a used frame they swapped out races ago. So here they are, trying to complete the greatest season in history, building a bike around a grimy, used frame. Ricky limped back to the truck. His ankle was the size of a melon. And he could have quit. He could have easily said, I got the title, I'm out. But he went back out on the track. He lined up for the motos with a butt patch that said $325, a joke about the bonus Honda mechanics got for a win. He won both motos. 24 wins, 0 losses.
Unbelievable, Todd. Look at the crowd. They're storming the field. And just think, less than a year ago, this young man had major knee surgery.
Especially sitting at home watching Chad dominate the supercross, and I knew I was a strong candidate for the title, and I'm so happy. I was almost in tears the last lap, and I had a lump in my throat for sure. It's amazing.
And it still wasn't over. He did it on a 2-stroke in 2002. He did it on a 4-stroke in 2004. He did it healthy. He did it coming off an ACL tear. When he crossed that line at Glen Helen, it was the end of an era. It was his 51st win for Honda. And it was goodbye. Ricky retired from full-time racing a few years later, and the standard he left behind was impossible to live up to. Enter James Bubba Stewart. James was the chosen one. He was the kid who was breaking records on 80s while Ricky was dominating pros. By 2008, Stewart was on a Kawasaki. But his path to perfection was eerily similar to Ricky's 2004 season. James missed almost the entire 2008 Supercross season. Why? Knee surgery. Tore his ACL in early 2008. He tried to race through it at Anaheim and Phoenix, but realized it was unstable. He pulled the plug. He hired Alden Baker. Yes, the very same Alden Baker who had built Ricky Carmichael. James showed up at Glen Helen for the 2008 outdoor opener having barely raced. He joked that he was coming off the couch. But James Stewart off the couch is faster than 99% of human beings on their best day. And he went 1-1 at Glen Helen. Then he did it again at Hangtown. His main rival was Mike Alessi. Alessi was riding well, getting great starts. He was the gnat that wouldn't go away.
Total domination. Nobody even came close to him this moto.
But then came Red Bud. James had a bad gate pick because he showed up late to staging. He had to pick a terrible gate. But it didn't matter. He blasted through the pack. In the second moto, Alessi crashed hard. It was a scary one. He went down tremendously hard. With Alessi out, James was untethered. He won everything. There was a scare at Unadilla. Always Unadilla, right? It poured rain. Again, the track was a swamp. A privateer from New Zealand named Cody Cooper was riding the race of his life. He actually caught James in the second moto. James was riding conservative. He didn't want to throw away the streak in the mud. He let Cooper get within a few seconds, but he held him off.
But the story of the day is James Stewart. He wins both motos here at Unadilla, and the joy comes shining through all that mud. Yeah!
At the final round at Steel City, James's teammate Tim Ferry tried to spoil the party. Ferry was setting faster lap times late in the moto, but James managed the gap. He crossed the line, 24-0, the third perfect season in history. James Stewart had joined the club.
He's going to win the Monster Energy Triple Crown of Motocross, and now there it is. History has been made here at Steel City. A perfect 24 motos and 24 wins. The legend continues to grow. James Stewart has done it. We'll be back to talk to him.
Is this going to be the last outdoor national that we see you race at?
I don't know. No, we'll see. It's a lot of changes going to be going on, and I'm excited about the plans. I think they're going to be good, and once we'll be able to, sit down and talk to everybody about it, it'll be good. So, we'll see.
Congratulations. Not only undefeated, the champion, James Stewart.
For a long time, we thought that was it. The sport got deeper, the bikes got faster, the tracks got rougher. Then came Jett Lawrence. 2023, Jett was a rookie in the 450 class. He dominated the 250s, but the 450, that's a different beast. But Jett is also different. He rides with a style that looks effortless. He doesn't look like he's trying, but the stopwatch says he's flying. He lined up for the opener at Pala. He won. He kept winning. He faced Chase Sexton, his teammate. He faced Dylan Ferrandis, a former champ.
Chase and I had Dylan in my one, and those, they were a bit faster on the sprinting part, but I'm like, in the motor, once we got into flying, I was the same. And I'm like, I ain't as strong as I am in another year.
But Jett had this uncanny ability to manage the race. He would get the start, pull a gap, and then just cruise. He wasn't blowing the field apart like Ricky. He was riding close to the edge, just enough to stay in control. And that's the key difference. Between Bubba and Jett, the sport changed. Fields got deeper. Bikes got more reliable. Data, starts, and long-term championships started to matter more than domination. Riders stopped trying to win every moto at all costs and started managing risk instead. At the Ironman National, the first round, the pressure was on. In the second moto, Jett flinched at the gate. He got a mediocre jump, but he somehow snaked through the first turn and came out in the lead. Chase Sexton was all over him. Sexton wanted to end the streak. He kept Jett honest, but Jett didn't crack. He crossed the line. 22 moto wins. The 2023 season was 11 rounds. A perfect rookie season. Jett Lawrence became the third rider in history to post a perfect season record.
No, he has done it, and most incredibly, he has done it as a rookie, which no one has ever done, and here's the celebration.
Yeah, launched the bike, slammed the goggles, whatever that was, but...
I'm part of the greats now. James had a perfect season. Ricky had 2 perfect seasons. That's sick, but then I'm thinking after, I'm like, wait. And I started asking the question, I'm like, did any of them do it in their rookie season? No, they were maybe a year or so in, seasons in. I'm like, shit, I'm the only person to do it in a rookie season. I'm like, that's pretty badass.
So why is this list so short? Why are there only 3 names, Carmichael, Stewart, Lawrence, on this list? Because motocross is chaos, and each rider solved that chaos in a different way. Ricky Carmichael dominated through suffering. James Stewart dominated through raw speed and control. Jett Lawrence dominates through restraint, knowing when not to push. If you have flat tires, broken chains, clogged radiators, you have rain, mud, dust, blind jumps, square-edged bumps. To win one race is hard. To win a championship is incredibly hard. But to win every single time the gate drops, that requires a level of focus that borders on insanity. And that's why most riders don't chase it. The pressure compounds every weekend. One mistake erases everything. Teammates stop helping. Rivals take bigger risks. The spotlight tightens. And if it ends with a single DNF, history forgets the rest. Ricky Carmichael talked about the mental toll. He said he never felt the pressure of 24-0 until the very last moto.
I never really, try to put too much pressure on myself with the perfect season because, it just weighs on you, makes it a long season. So I tried to really push it aside and just take every race, one at a time. Each race, one at a time. Every single moto's a new race, and that's how I really dealt with it and try not to pressure myself.
You can't go 23-0 and lose the last one. That would be a failure. It's about overcoming the bad days. Like Ricky riding with a blown-up ankle at Glen Helen, like James surviving the mud at Unadilla, like Jett managing the pressure of being the rookie phenom. It requires luck, yes, but it requires the ability to make your own luck. Mike Gosseler, Ricky's mechanic, said it best. When the perfect season was over, he didn't feel joy. he felt relief. He said, "I can sleep now." For the rider, it's a similar but different kind of feeling. Not celebration, but not quite relief. Just emptiness. Because when perfection ends, there's nothing left to chase. That's the cost. Total exhaustion. Ricky Carmichael set the standard. He showed it was possible. He proved that a human being could be perfect on a dirt bike. And for those of us watching, it wasn't just racing, it was witnessing greatness. Which perfect season actually stands above the rest? Carmichael's 2002 or 2004 runs, Stewart's 2008 dominance, or Jett's 2023 rookie season? Drop your pick in the comments. If you want more breakdowns like this, check out this video right here. Thanks for watching, and stay wicked.